people say gives them, like, oh, I can't vote for him because...
Well, the only one I've had, and I couldn't even remember who said that to me, but they mentioned it's dark skin, and they think Muslim.
2 seconds later.
You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
But let me guess, that's not racism either.
Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.
One of my biggest pet peeves is when a person claims that something is racist or that something is racism when it's actually not. And we know that the left continues to do that and has always done that. And I'm not a big fan of it. Another big pet peeve of mine is when a person claims that something is rigged just because something didn't go in their favor. And we know that the right has been doing that and continues to do that. And I'm not a big fan of that either. But what happens when a person is actually racist to your face? What happens when they're actually honest with you and they actually tell you, I don't like you because of the color of your skin? I would not support you despite agreeing with you on what you stand for because of the color of your skin and nothing else. Well, Vivek Ramaswamy, who I've been on the record with as saying that I believe he's the best presidential candidate that I've ever seen before, from how articulate he is, from his knowledge of, our country and law and the Constitution, how he treats people, all of it, how he stands for truth. I 100% supported Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign, and I continue to support him. But one of the cringe and most weird things that he's done in a while has been just to accept racism even when it's right there and not just call it for what it is. He has this woman on his show named Ann Coulter, who just flat out told Vivek Ramaswamy that despite agreeing with mostly everything that you stand for, I still would not have supported and still will not support you because you're Indian.
I think has some thoughtful perspectives on the future direction of our country, of our conservative movement, and on this question of nationalism and national identity, somebody I've been fascinated by for a long time and have interacted with on social media, but for the first time we're having at least a live form conversation in the offline sense of it. It's Ann Coulter. So Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I, too, am a fan of yours. I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
Now, the comment that she said about black voters and being articulate and all of that, apparently that was supposed to be a swipe at Joe Biden and what he said about Barack Obama some years ago.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
But nonetheless, this is one of the weirdest things in the world to see, because I said, despite Vivek Ramaswamy being one of the best being the best presidential candidate that we've ever seen before, ever in this country, I am on record as saying that he would have never won simply because he wasn't a white man, and I meant that, or a white person, and I meant that, right? I think he behaved and his campaign ran better than any campaign, as good as, if not better than any campaign we've ever seen before. And I said he wouldn't win as a Republican because he's not a white man. The second reason why Vivek Ramaswamy was never going to win and never had a shot at this, or at least a decent or a fair shot, is because of racism. Let's be clear. And his wife even interviewed this couple in Iowa that flat out said it.
What do people say gives them, like, oh, I can't vote for him because what are the things that they tell you? What answers can I help you provide?
Well, the only one I've had, and I couldn't even remember who said that to me, but they mentioned about it's dark skins, you know, and they think Muslims right away. And so I kind of set them straight on that, whether they believe me or thought I was covering for him. I don't know, but and I tried to explain.
There's not much we can do about that one.
Well, yeah, you know, so.
Now, before we get back into the video, I ask if you are new to the show, please know we are thirsty to grow. And to drink some of this water, you can help me out by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. But don't worry, I'm going to give you a sec to do that. Help me out. Just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And then Vivek Ramaswamy hops on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, and had this reaction.
Coulter told me flat out to my face that she couldn't vote for me because you're an Indian, even though she agreed with me more than most other candidates. I disagree with her, but respect she had the guts to speak her mind. It was a riveting hour.
Many took issue with Vivek's. Journalist Zed Jelani wrote on X, quote, okay, what level of simp is Vivek on here that he's like, well, she absolutely hates me for my ethnicity, but I really respect her. Journalist and CEO of Zato News wrote, quote, you respect that she was openly and crudely racist to your face? Sheesh, the things that brown folks will do to be accepted by the white supremacy wing of the GOP. That was Mehdi Hassan. And co-founder of Based Politics, Brad Palumbo, wrote, so Ann Coulter is just racist and you don't even stand up for yourself in the face of blatant racism?
Vivek, I understand that you're just saying that you respect that she was honest with you, but my problem with you and many other people's problem with you is, why can't you just call it racist? Why can't you say this is a clear example of racism? I don't believe that all white people are racist. I don't believe that everyone thinks this way. You could say that, but still call it racist. It seems like when you're a Republican and you're trying to cater or pander to these people that are primarily a part of this party, you don't want to say the word racist. You don't want to ever call anything racism because you're afraid you're going to turn them off. What are you doing here, man? What are you doing here, man? But I'm going to tell you what's even more strange about this situation. Ann Coulter said what many and most white Americans already think and feel anyways, right? When you talk about the identity of this country, when you talk about the history of this country, when you talk about using the term WASP, and if many of you don't know what WASP means, it stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? So in other words, if you are not of English descent, white American, English speaking, we will not support you. That's what that means. Despite what you stand for, and despite how smart you are, despite how, great you've lived your life, how much you believe in family and God and all of that. She didn't even mention Vivek Ramaswamy's religion, which is what Vivek was saying was the number one reason why he felt like he wouldn't have won. When he went on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne the God asked him, do he believe that an Indian person could ever be elected in it, as part of the GOP primary? He said yes.
Do you think a person of color could ever be the GOP nominee?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I read an article in The Nation that said you and Nikki Haley can't escape GOP racism. And the article says you two are boxed in by the bigotry that you deny exists. So what do you think of that?
He said he feels like his biggest reason was religion. That's the biggest thing that's counted against him. And I'm like, I think that religion is part of it, but you're just delusional. Sure, you don't have to believe that all white people are racist. I don't believe that all white people are racist. But bro, look at the history of this country. You think it's a coincidence that most presidents, most presidential candidates, most people that are CEOs are white people? And you say, well, because they are the majority. I'm talking about at an unprecedented, disproportionately. That's what I'm talking about. It's all right to call something racist when it's racist. But in this culture, in this climate, it seems in the most weird way that if you are able to withstand the most blatant racism or the most blatant disrespect, even if it's not racism or bigotry, the most blatant disrespect, if you show that you can withstand that without calling it for what it is, then you get cool points for that. When you go to these right-leaning podcasts and YouTube channels who covered this story and go to the comment section, it's the most weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. You got people in the comment section clowning people on the left for being upset with Vivek Ramaswamy because Vivek Ramaswamy was not upset with Ann Coulter. It's like, all right, but are you going to at least acknowledge the fact that what Ann Coulter said was racist, inherently racist? What about that part? They don't acknowledge that. They don't acknowledge that. It's the weirdest thing in the world I've ever seen. I just thought I should make this video to call out blatant racism when it is, and this woman is racist, and I believe that she said the quiet part out loud. I think she said what most white people feel and think anyways, or at least traditionally thinks, and they are more afraid to say it out loud because of the backlash they're going to receive. Somebody in the comment section had the nerve to say, well, the problem is if a black person said what she said, then it's more so accepted. If they said that they're pro-black and they want black people, they're only supporting black people, they don't call it racist. But if a white person said, bro, stop being disingenuous, I personally believe, yes, that is wrong if anyone says it. Here's the problem. You're being disingenuous because you're ignoring the fact that there's a reason why there's a backlash when white people say it. Again, I don't think it's right if anyone says it. But you're being disingenuous by not at least acknowledging the fact that the reason why people have a problem when white people say it is because of the history of racism, because of the history of systemic racism. Not systemic racism in 2024, the kind that y'all want to really argue and debate if it's real or not. I'm talking about systemic racism in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 50s. Blatant systemic racism. I'm talking about blatant racism altogether, right? We're talking about the history of this country when people were marginalized, when people were oppressed and left out of politics, left out of businesses, left out of access to capital, which is still a big deal even today, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's the weirdest is cognitive dissonance with people, like even when, like, so if you mean to tell me if you are a conservative and you saw what was said, you still can't call it for what it is because you're a conservative? Shame on you. Shame on you. Y'all up in the comment section and give me y'all thoughts on what y'all think about this. I thought this was crazy, man. Until next time. Peace.
Oh, yeah, Diddy got a podcast.